Welcome to Anything Cricket. Let's talk. In this episode, we'll be focusing on women's cricket. Jamaica has been showing their dominance in the 50 over and the T20 Blaze and are now the undisputed champions of regional women's cricket. Wayne Holder is on location. I had a chat with him following the completion of the Super 50. I'll be sharing that interview with you. The tireless Roland Butcher is involved in a project that has the potential to transform women's cricket in Barbados and even throughout the region. We will hear from Roland regarding the progress of that development program. We invite you to subscribe to the channel so that you get quick and easy access to our show. We also invite you to post your comments. We value those comments and will be only too happy to address issues you raise in our upcoming show. If you're watching on Facebook, please give us a like and also share your comments with us. We've been involved in streaming live cricket action over the past few weeks. Local organizers have been keen to promote the excellent work they've been doing with their out-of-season competition. Feel free to contact us if we can be of assistance to you in having your cricket competitions or any other sporting activities streamed. As always, we appreciate feedback from viewers. When we come back, we will hear from Wayne Holder. Well, Wayne Holder, good to see you. You've been rather scarce recently in terms of, I guess, being around locally, but you've been in a good place and doing some good things, cricket-wise and otherwise. But we won't get too much into that, except just to confirm that all is well with the family and especially the new additions.
Well, Philip, good afternoon. And yes, thanks for that warm welcome. All is well on my side of things, and cricket-wise and otherwise.
Yes, as the images that you have been sharing indicate. But you've been following the women's cricket, so even although you're absent from the home base, so to speak, you have been spending your time wisely in terms of the cricket as well. And I believe you've seen quite a bit of the women's tournament that has been played over the past several weeks.
Well, yes, Philip, circumstances have allowed for me to be in a position to see West Indian women's cricket from very close up. You know, I was tempted to say to see West Indies cricket naked, but I don't know that may ask for that may incur too many questions. But in the raw, in the open, and very, very close up to see West Indies women cricket, and it has been very, very enlightening. It has been something of an education. You know, I can admit I generally, as an ardent cricket fan, I follow all cricket, but maybe never really afforded the time to really get deep into the women's game. And this is the closest I've ever been. And like I said, it has been very enlightening.
So before you even get to the things that have caused you to be enlightened, tell us a bit about your immediate surroundings. You're actually on location following the tournament. How has that been going in terms of where you are and so on?
Well, no, but the accommodation has been excellent. I am here, as you know, with the family. Well, with Ayana in particular, who's an umpire in the tournament, who made her debut at the regional level earlier in the one-day international, the one-day segment, the Super 50 Cup for the women. So she is being accommodated at the Marriott Hotel in Frigate Bay in St. Kitts. I myself have been staying with a local family, more or less, within a community. And it has been very, very pleasant so far, very, very hospitable hosts. And generally, the the trip has been one that I have enjoyed in every single way up to this stage.
Okay. And I suppose, in terms of your current status, if you'd known that, or if you'd recognized the opportunities, to get even closer to the cricket and so on, and spend more time with the family, you would have made that career move a long time ago.
Well, that is debatable. I mean, it is what it is.
Just seems like where that's concerned.
Well, yes, it is, but it has been enjoyable, and sometimes you just don't know what life is going to hold for you. I remember back in the day when you and a number of the other journalists in Barbados were traveling around the Caribbean, whether it be for cricket broadcasts or just for covering cricket series and the like. And I was stuck at home, and I've always wondered what it would have been like if I had been able to experience as such. And no, it didn't happen early. It's happened now in this time, and it's a great happening.
As I said, nothing before its time. So, in terms of the cricket, you have been enlightened by what you have seen. We know that Jamaica emerged as champions of the Super 50. From the Barbadian perspective, that would have been disappointing. But you can start where you want to start in terms of your observations of the tournament and what you would want to share with us.
Well, like I said, it gave me an opportunity to get a gauge on the standard of women's cricket in the West Indies, and it was quite instructive that I've been, along with following the West Indies championship more or less, it has been right bang in the middle of the WPL being played in India, which is the female equivalent to the CPL. And, the two extremes, being able to use one as a gauge as against the other, I mean, we're at the two ends of the scale, basically. I mean, the WPL represents the creme de la creme, more or less. But at least it gives an opportunity to be able to say what are the standards that you are to which one would be aspiring. And it tells us that West Indies cricket women's cricket is still a very, very far away from what would be required at the international level. There's a work in progress, more or less. But first of all, we need to admit and understand exactly where we are. And, having seen the tournament, having followed Barbados, which obviously would have opened me to seeing all the other teams. And even if only once, it tells me that looking at the performances, let's put it that way, and of the individual players, it tells me that the younger players have quite a lot of catching up to do. The competition has been totally dominated by the more experienced players. I mean, which is basically expected, but all the top run scorers would have been merely seasoned campaigners at this level, and the young brigade, more or less, really hardly made an impact in the batting side of things. Unlike in the bowling, we did see a few shining lights coming through from those newer players, the more inexperienced players. So it does throw up a concern for me as we look towards the future, and there really is a lot of work that needs to be done. The Barbadian coming out of the Barbados camp, I would have spoken to both the captain, Kaisia Knight, and the head coach, Sherwin Campbell, and both of them more or less highlighted the lack of impact by the younger players as one of the major concerns that they would have encountered. I mean, we accept that we accept that the inexperienced younger players will be inconsistent. But then again, when they like I said, they fail to impact totally, where they have been consistently poor or consistently failing. I would rather not use the word poor. Have been consistently failing, without any kind of intermittent performances that you can see. Well, here's one performance that you can look at to say that there's an indicator that you're heading in the right direction.
The more or most disturbing thing about that, Wayne, is that, okay, you're saying that the more senior players have been the outstanding ones in the tournament when compared to the junior players. But what is even more disturbing is that those senior players, when representing the West Indies, um, apart from two or three names, and those players, some of those players not even like Haley Matthews, not even in this competition. Some of those players, when they are actually playing for the West Indies, they are themselves way behind the international standard. So if you're now saying that those who are behind them and the ones you'll be looking to replace them at some point in time are so far behind, that is a real concern, or should be a real concern for West Indies women's cricket. Now, I'm not particularly shocked to hear you say that, because one of my concerns is that the people around West Indies women's cricket, some of the influential people, or people they believe to be influential, seem not to fully understand the required process. And that is that women's cricket is at the nursery stage, really. It is like, if you let's look at the education system. Everybody knows about that, either as somebody working in it, having gone to school, or just having, you understand the system. You've got your nursery school, you've got your primary, you've got your secondary, then you've got your tertiary. Women's cricket right now in the Caribbean, in my opinion, and feel free to differ with me or anybody else, the numbers may not allow you to do that, is at the nursery stage. Okay, so that's where you actually need most attention. And I am not convinced that the powers that be see it that way, because I continue to hear comments like nobody is coming through. And if you just look at that one comment, nobody is coming through, it suggests that you are waiting, expecting something to happen. When really and truly at this stage, Wayne, you need to make things happen. And that is my concern.
I don't know. One of my, if I can say, offer a different take. Mm-hmm. First of all, having seen the one day, the 50 over component of the competition, I am convinced that we do not have enough quality players to equip 6 teams to play a real top level ODI competition in the West Indies. So I think we are going more or less for quantity as against quality. Either you can look at revamping the exactly as you have right now, or you can follow the concept adopted by the CPL, where in the women's CPL, they haven't gone for 6 teams representing all the territories. What they have done is gone for 3 teams, because as far as it makes more sense to be able to put together 3 teams of the best players in the region to produce or provide a quality competition. And I think that maybe the authorities at Cricket West Indies may very well have to either have a reduced competition of the elite of the best after the completion of this regional competition, or revamp it in such a way that you have, let's say, 4 teams are made up of the best players in the region, in a franchise kind of setup, where you get a professional setup, though, where the teams receive all the attention you need, the necessary training, the necessary camps, the necessary fitness and conditioning, bring the teams together to produce a higher quality. Because what I've witnessed is that you have a number of these young players very, very young players, some as young as 15, 16 and the likes. But they are really and truly to support your position. They really are truly are not in any way ready for a regional first, what we could call a first class kind of setup. And the I think more attention needs to be paid maybe at the under 19 level, where we need to focus on bringing those players and providing opportunities and training situations for these younger players. In the meantime, reduce the numbers that you require so as to improve on the quality of what you put out at the senior regional level.
Then I don't know if it is my experience in being closely involved on various levels with what do you call associate countries. This is like Bermuda, Cayman Islands, and so on. The countries where you didn't necessarily have the same cricket environment as with the more established Caribbean jurisdictions, cricket jurisdictions. And I've got to be careful how I say that because Bermuda has a rich cricketing history, if you will. One of their biggest events annually is this thing called Cup Match. But that's why I chose my words carefully. I said environment because you may have that, but then there may be other things missing that may restrict your ability to progress at a particular rate. This is also a country where touring teams used to pass through with some regular. So they've had some sort of cricket exposure and involvement. I dare say, though, the entire cricketing environment has never been, from what I observed, been on par, let's say, with a place like Barbados or Jamaica, Guyana, these places where, cricket was all over the place, before. So why am I saying that? I just want to say it quite simply. The solution is very simple, man. The young ladies in the Caribbean interested in cricket need to be taught. In other words, it is not like the men's game where the average guy, let's take Barbados that we both know quite well, and we believe that this would have happened throughout the years in other parts of the Caribbean, where cricket in our day was played in the backyard, on the street, on the beach, on the rooftop, in the gap, everywhere. And therefore, there was a knowledge of cricket and involvement in cricket so that you pretty much needed then to top up on that. People were coming to the coaches. By the time you got to a coach, you already had a cricket experience, formal or informal. You with me so far, man?
I'm with you.
That is not the situation with the women. So therefore, you've got to teach them from, as people say, from scratch. And I don't think that we have fully accepted and bought into that. And if we have, you certainly not set about doing it. The closest I've seen to it in recent times is a program in which our colleague Roland Butcher is involved. Okay. And if that program bears fruit, then that will make a massive difference because this is a program that addresses girls, all right? And it is a teaching environment. It is not just, it's not like you can bring a bundle of guys at 11, 12, 13, 14 together in, and the things that they will come knowing already. You've got to assume that these girls are coming not knowing. Because if you assume that you can just top up, just build on what they have already, but you see the result that you're getting. So until we accept that we have to start at the bottom and teach these girls, even the ones, some of them 19, 20, 24, 25, you see they don't have the basic skills, running between the wickets, things like that. And somehow we don't seem to recognize, we want to teach them like how we teach the guys. Not gonna work, man.
Not that there, let's say, is all doom and gloom because I have seen.
You just
right,
need to do it the right way.
Right, I have seen some raw material that I think that with put in the right environment and as you said, a learning and teaching environment.
Teaching. I want to use
that,
the word teaching. There are subtle differences between teaching and coaching. There are many similarities. There may be some differences, but I want to use the word teaching because that is really what it's about. You got to act like they didn't know or they don't know and teach them. You got to hold their hand, man. All right. And I don't sense that mentality coming from the influencers around the cricket arena, the women's cricket arena. And that's why I made a reference to the associate countries, because in those countries, I mean, I lived in Cayman, as you know, where cricket was not the main thing. And therefore, you had to have programs to teach cricket, both men and both boys and girls, right? And over the years, you've seen some results in the associate in the improvement of those associate countries. Didn't happen by chance. It happened because people recognize, look, this is an environment that is not rich in cricket. We got to do some teaching here. And you can see the result of that in many of the associate countries in terms of the progress being made. We've got to treat women's cricket like that. That's what I'm saying.
I willing to say too, or I believe that the territories have a very, very key role to play in this movement. I think that we have been a bit unfair, if I can say that, to Cricket West Indies, where the entire burden has been cast on that group in Antigua. When in truth, and in fact, the necessary satellites, which should be the regional, the territorial authorities, I think they need to take a whole lot more responsibility for providing this environment about which you were calling. And I remember speaking to one of the foreign, well, I say foreign because one of the from one of the other islands, one of the coaches from one of the other islands, and he was of the opinion. He said, I just as I said just now, I've seen some little gems which have been beginning to show themselves in this competition, but we're not doing well by them. We're not helping them. We're being unfair to a lot of these younger children, and that is the truth. And I think the emphasis, the onus has to come down to the regional territories stepping up to the plate and playing a much bigger role rather than sitting back and waiting for handouts from CWI. So we have a West Indies team. Everything is about a West Indies women's team, a West Indies under-19 women's team. We're going to these global tournaments and the like, but nobody's looking after business at that grassroots regional stage. I think so the seed has been planted, but it's been left unnourished. Nobody's watering it.
But man, I'm glad you said that, because it revealed to me that maybe I didn't make my point as strong as I should have, because what I outlined to you in terms of that teaching process, that has to be done at the local level. I mean, Cricket West Indies can play a role in facilitating it through whatever means, resources, or even personnel where necessary. But that has to start in the various territories. It would be too much of an undertaking for one regional body to carry that out. Cricket West Indies can take more responsibility for the development of the men's game, because, as I said, they come to the table with some background. And, therefore, it is easier for Cricket West Indies to be more influential, or, in that area. Not that excuses territories. But in terms of women's cricket, it has to be at that, what you call the grassroots. It has to start in the communities, whether it be through schools or clubs, and it has to build from there. So I am totally in agreement with you where that is.
Well, there has been something of some evolutionary process, because I am very regularly saying West Indies cricket became great despite the West Indies Cricket Board of Control, and the role that they played was basically to put together a team, organize a international series, but the raw material, the players came ready-made from the territories into the hands of, and basically all West Indies cricket, West Indies Cricket Board at that time, no Cricket West Indies, had to do was to go through the process of selecting what they thought was the best team to represent the West Indies. That's all their role was. That role has changed drastically now, and the Cricket West Indies holds a much more responsibility in fine-tuning the material that comes out of the territories. But as you said, that was in a day when the cricket was more organic. I mean, it just happened that people learn cricket. That teaching that you talked about, that happened right on the many different playing fields, the pastures, in the gaps, that happened, So that doesn't happen anymore. And I know, yes, the West Indies, Cricket West Indies role has really changed somewhat.
Yeah, it doesn't happen with the men anymore, and I don't know if Cricket West Indies has fully recognized that. You know, I'm always on about this high performance thing, but we can go there now. But the women are not even at the stage. Before you get to high performance, where the women are concerned, you got to get to basic performance, man. I mean, not even there yet. So I think we're saying pretty much the same thing.
If we can probably slide into a different area and look more closer at the tournament, I mean, where you can highlight some of the major performances in the competition. I think that first of all, it is safe to say that in the Super 50 Cup, the 50 overs, Jamaica were by far the best team in the tournament. Quite a distance between themselves and most of the other teams, even despite the little aberration that occurred in the very last game, a game which came after they had actually wrapped up the tournament. There was no way that they were going to be caught by any of the other teams. And as I said, somehow or another, I wasn't there, so I don't know what exactly transpired, but whatever it was, it certainly was not the best of Jamaica in that team, but in that particular match. But the Jamaica side, very much one of the better rounded teams as far as the batting is concerned, as far as the bowling. Captain Stephanie Taylor coming back, looking herself again, looking quite refreshed. It was quite pleasing to see Stephanie. I was a bit worried when I saw her last season. Remember, she had been coming off of illness and injury, and she seemed to be forcing it somewhat. But in this tournament, Stephanie looked a lot more at ease. She looked a lot more refreshed. Looked a lot more. She was enjoying what she was doing. So you had her up front leading the way, and then she had her lieutenants, the like of Ashadeen Nation, who has been around for quite a while. Ashadeen Nation has represented the West Indies. Probably could have done a lot better than she has up to this stage, but she was one of the main contributors for that Jamaica side. You had Rashada Williams, who was the West Indies opening batter, stamping her class and showing that she is a cut above the other players in the competition. And then there was a young off spinner though that caught my, well, I say young because I mean some of these ladies, I'm watching them from a distance. I really don't know their particular ages. I will have to go and do a little bit of research. But there was a young lady called Vanessa Watts, who bowls off spin. She was among the leading wicket takers in the competition too. But she immediately caught my eye. I like what I saw of Vanessa Watts, a different kind of off spinner. An off spinner who was, we're accustomed to these over the top off spinners, but this is an off spinner that goes with a slinging action, believe it or not. So lots of underspin, lots of side spin coming out, coming from her. But she is one of the people who definitely caught my eye in that Jamaica side. Chanel Henry, don't let's forget. She bossed it whenever most times she did have I think she missed a couple of games. I don't know if it was because of injury or what, but she was the most dynamic all-round player that would have been noticed in the competition. She got the highest score of the competition, I mean, at 93, and I think she also had the best bowling figures for any bowler. She took 6 wickets in one match. So that Jamaica side really and truly stamped its class above all the others. A number of the teams sported some very young sides. I think the Guyana side looked a very youthful unit. They had this young lady, Ashmini Munasar, who in fact is the West Indies under-19s captain. And she had an excellent tournament with the ball. Guyana with a plethora of spin bowlers. I mean, they had more resources than they really needed, the Guyanese, as far as spin bowlers are concerned. But this young lady, Munasar, she got the most wickets in the competition. I think 12 wickets herself. And then there was another young lady called Lachman. I'm not recalling Naya Lachman. I think it was, or Naya Lachman, who also got it. So the Guyanese spin bowlers would have caught the eye of most people. I mean, you had the regular names, the Karishma Ramarak, who you would expect from Trinidad and Tobago. But one of the features of the competition, actually, I say features, but one of the standout of the competition was the poor performance of Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago normally has been over the years a powerhouse in regional cricket. Some would say the powerhouse in regional women's cricket. And it was quite concerning that they struggled. They managed only to win one match, the very last match against the lowly Leewards, who actually were the only team not to win a match in the competition. So there's some concern there. I think the Trinidad authorities may have to do some kind of investigation as why their stocks would have fallen as badly as they have. The Windwards, very competitive side, some good material there again. The Kinnear Joseph, Janelle Glasgow, and we saw some of the, I could say, getting back to the batting in the competition. If you run through the top 10 in the batting, you're going to find that 9 out of those 10 players are players who have been around for quite a bit. Some have even passed their best. When you think of the likes of Leanne Kirby and I think there's Regina. There's another a lady that who has been around for quite a while, playing for the Leewards. I think it was Boyce. I think it was Regina Boyce. Yes. So the Kaisia Knight, obviously the outstanding player with the bat, though. I mean, she had a wonderful time. She did have a failure in that very first match where Barbados basically crumbled against the Jamaicans, outplayed in every aspect. 279 Jamaica made, and Barbados didn't even make 90. She had a failure in that game, but after that she reeled off a number of scores, of match-winning scores, carrying the Barbados batting almost single-handedly, but with some assistance from her sister, her twin sister, Kaishona. And it was nice to see Aliyah Allen come to the fore with the bat. She's a young lady who has been has shown a lot of promise in the past. She's been around the international setup for quite a while without actually showing that kind of improvement, that kind of development. And it was really pleasing to see that she finally came to the fore and got some good scores for Barbados. So the Barbados batting was basically carried by 3 players: the Knight Twins and Aliyah Allen, who are all very experienced. And I guess the concern there is that the Knight Twins retired from international cricket before this tournament started. And I think there is still some uncertainty as to if they will be available to play for Barbados after this tournament in coming years. So that is something that we will need to worry about. And to see how we can rectify. Shadeen Nation, like I mentioned to you, Shemaine Campbell, I guess one of the regular culprits. You know, you would expect Shemaine Campbell to do well.
Culprit in a good way.
In a good way, of course, yes. You would expect Shemaine Campbell to do well in a regional competition. Leanne Kirby, as we mentioned, who has been around for more years than most. She was among the runners. Janelle Glasgow. Afi Fletcher, again, another old stager, another long-time campaigner. We know her more for her leg spin bowling, but she was very prominent with the bat for the Windwards. I mentioned to you Rashada Williams and one young lady. I think that, well, 2 young ladies that we probably need to make notes against their names. Samantha Ramna, who did quite well with both bat and ball. Among the younger players, I would suggest that she was the best of the all-round players among that younger group of players. Among the runs and also featured quite prominently in the wickets column. So that's a name to remember. And then there's a Narissa Crafton out of the Windwards. That name also stood out to me. Going down the line, the Leeward Islands, who were quite beleaguered. struggled more or less throughout the tournament. Much to my surprise, when I saw them against Barbados, actually they made a total, I think the second highest total of the competition, the entire competition in the match against Barbados, 255 for only the loss of 5 wickets. And I saw glimpses of really good talent in that side. There's a young lady called Shanisa Hector. There's another Edwards. Something of an all-rounder. So I saw some good athletes, some very good athletes in that Leeward Islands side. And having seen them play against Barbados, I was shocked at the quality of their performances against the other teams. But they do themselves show that there are a couple of promising players in that setup. And all these girls need is help. What they need
They
is the
do need
help.
help, Win. They do need help. Time is against us, Win.
Mhm.
But before you go, there have been some discussion in the various usual places where cricket is discussed regarding the officiating and the scoring. Um, any comments you can make, any light you can throw on that, or any suggestions as to how one may, deal with address those issues moving forward?
I
If you
myself,
agree that
I myself made a point of showing up. Some little inefficiencies in the area of scoring and recording, and the main intention there was to bring to the attention of the authorities the importance of making sure that even these areas that which we can sometimes consider as trivial, making sure that, especially when you get to the highest regional level, we need to ensure that these things are taken care of long before we get. So there were a couple of problems, I guess to say, at the very beginning, but I think they soon sorted themselves out. So I think by the end of now that we're going into the T20
second
side of things, I think that has worked itself out, and I don't think that is an area. The officiating, again, but I really don't try to get in the to decide or dictate for umpires. We are all, wherever we are looking on television and whatever, we have the privilege of replays and slow motion and all the like, and we can criticize umpires, but I know for a fact that the umpire has one take at it, and mistakes will be made. There will be errors. I saw some errors that were blown up out of proportion, more or less. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that because it was a woman. And I've seen men make even more blatant errors, But because there were women, I thought that was a bit unfair from some of the comments that I have been observing. But
well, in our
it is what
society,
it is.
sometimes you attack who you perceive to be the weakest link, if you will. When it comes to cricket officiating and so on, um, that would probably be women purely from the point of view that it is something that they've not been engaged in at that level for very long. So in that in
Yes.
that in that sense, it would be the weaker link.
If I did have a concern, I would agree. If I did have a concern, and it had nothing to do with women, the gender of the persons involved, but I'm saying is that if this is supposed to be the highest level of regional cricket, I think everything should reflect that, and including the officials, including the statisticians and everybody. I think that is something that Cricket West Indies may need. Although one can see the need for wanting to bring on new features, get the women more.
But not by throwing them like a famous swim coach back in our day. Not by throwing them in at the deep end.
Yeah. So that I said,
yeah.
If there was one concern, it is that if this is going to represent the highest level of cricket among women in the West Indies, let it be so in every aspect, not only in.
Yeah, and again, as I said, time is really against us. But what I would suggest where that's concerned, and you being on the same, and I have a different view, but to me, it seems that there may just be a little bit more training required. And maybe ease them into the situation in a much better way. But the thing that also concerned me, as you know, anything cricket, let's talk. We are involved in cricket streaming mostly at the local level. And I can tell you from talking to the organizers of these local out-of-season tournaments, these guys are very highly motivated. they want to put on a show. They want the best for their tournament. And these are just out of season domestic tournaments. And we've had people investigating. We've even utilized, as you may be aware, the third umpire for line decisions in a tape
In a
competition.
tape ball competition, yes,
And
I did
there are
witness that.
yeah, and they're looking to the other organizers are looking to talk. I've had questions about people DRS and things of that nature for a local competition, tape ball and hardball cricket. I don't understand why at the regional level we are not at the point where the technology is also involved to support those officials.
Well, it is a direction, it's definitely the direction in which the game has gone. You can't even say it's going, because the rest of the world has gone on and left us in that regard. So we need now to get to get in line, and definitely the whole technological evolution, the social media side of things. I mean, as you said, you are seeing this creativity coming out of just independent organizers.
What I'm saying, if only these local organizers can lend or rent or give some of their enthusiasm and forward thinking to the powers that be, who knows what may be possible in West Indies cricket. But then, as I said, time is against us. So we look forward to hearing from you again, at some point, maybe either during or at the end of the T20 segment of the competition. So thanks again, Vin.
Thank you, Philip. With pleasure.
As I said at the top of the show, Roland Butcher has been engaged in a development program for girls interested in playing cricket. I checked in with him recently to find out what progress he has been making. Well, welcome once again, Roland, to Anything Cricket Let's Talk. Always nice to chat cricket with you. And I know that, it's even more especially so when we're talking women's cricket. And that's the subject for today. Last time we spoke at length, you were introducing a new program to me. And at that point in time, or around that time, I also was fortunate enough to be at the opening, and I heard speeches from a number of the stakeholders and so on. And at the time, it seemed to me like just what Barbados and the region needed. So a few weeks on, or maybe even months on from that, how have things been going?
Yeah, first of all, Philip, thanks for having me. Always a great pleasure to chat. The Barbados Royals Girls Cricket Club, as you know, was launched back in December, and the launch went very well. You were obviously there. You saw the persons that were involved. Very good support from the Barbados Royals, who are one of the sponsors. Back for a Chance was a UK charity, the two main funders of the project. Ministry of Sport, obviously, very much involved. They've given us the home for the girls' cricket, which is Friendship playing field. And we're working, obviously, with the Sports Council as well. So that's where we were at after the launch. We didn't actually get started until the schools had gone back, which would have been late January. And to date, things have been going pretty well. Obviously, numbers are not huge at this moment, in the 20s, over 30 odd registered. But when you think it's a new program, girls in the past have not really been encouraged to come and play cricket and try the game. So it's a case of convincing the young girls that, cricket is a game for them. Also convincing the parents that, their daughters should play cricket. And there are many reasons why they should play cricket, because, being part of a team, it's an all-girls team, being part of that group amongst themselves, they don't have to be worried about whether they're good enough amongst the boys. They're amongst themselves. They learn at their own pace. If they want to be good players, they work to be good players. If they just want to play and have fun, that is fine. Our age groups are between 6 and 14. And basically, girls can just come and play. It's a free program for all girls, no cost at all. That is funded by our funders, as I said, the Barbados Royals and Bat for a Chance charity. And to date, very pleased the way things are going.
Roland, why I am so pleased about this whole thing, I've been saying for a long time, and maybe sometimes the teacher in me comes out too much and people think I'm just speaking because I'm blessed with a voice. But I've been saying for a long time, and I keep saying it, that the problem with women's cricket in Barbados, and I would dare say it throughout the region, is that the girls need teaching. Teaching, yes, there's that connection between teaching and coaching, but I'm emphasizing the teaching part because I keep hearing all this talk about what is not happening and nobody's coming through, and all the things that I'm hearing and the criticisms. When it is almost comical to follow a women's cricket game and observe the comments in the various cricket chats around, and you would think that that you're watching a game, England versus West Indies, with Ian Botham on one side and with Richards on the other, and that type of era, and these guys are critiquing these girls as though they're experts, and they're not. These are girls who are playing in a competition because they love the game, because there's a competition. But in many cases, they've not been taught properly how to play the game. How can you have the expectations that they will go there and do the right thing? So I'm really excited by this role, and I hope it's something that can go on for a long time.
Well, you're absolutely right. The history of girls' cricket in the Caribbean is one where the girls literally start as adults playing, which is usually too late. The tree has grown already, and you're trying to bend the tree at that point. What we're trying to do, and the emphasis of our programs, really is to start right at the very bottom. We teach the basics, and you use the word teach, and that's what we actually do. We teach. We don't coach the kids, because children, particularly young girls who've never played a game before, there's no point in trying to coach them and coach them techniques, etc. Because first of all, they must fall in love with the sport. So that's what we're aiming to do: make sure that they fall in love with the sport. Along the way, we will teach them the basics, teach them well, so that the ones who want to go on will be able to be better players in the future. But the emphasis is very much on teaching at the Barbados Royals Girls Cricket Club.
Okay, so I did suggest that my concern is if it's something that's sustainable. You said it's free. And usually in our culture, when things are free, there are two challenges. One, sometimes we don't value things when we don't have to invest in them. And two, you have the issue of sustainability because maybe of a lack of resources.
Well, as I said, we've got two excellent people on board in the Barbados Royals. I mean, the Royals, as you know, is backed by the Rajasthan Royals.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not how can I put it? Not something that hasn't been around for a while on the international level.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what we're doing fits nicely in with what the Royals stand for. That's why they came on board. And Bat for a Chance, the UK charity who supports ventures around the world. We started a venture with them 3 years ago when we provided all the kits for Springer Memorial, Christchurch Girls, and Westbury Girls School. We provided all the kit for them so they could play cricket. So that project started 3 years ago. We've gone one step further now, recognizing that women's cricket in particular now is a huge global sport, and it's getting bigger, and it will get even bigger. The players now who are playing, they seem to be big players earning a lot of money, but I can assure you that the future of women's cricket, what they will be earning in the future, will dwarf what the likes of Hayley Matthews and others are making right now. So that's something that our girls really need to keep an eye on. It's a profession like any other profession, female cricket, and there's so many other jobs associated with the sport. You can be a physio, you can be a coach, you can be a psychologist, you could be sports science. I mean, all sorts of things associated that you could have in the future. So I think it is important for us to maintain this program. And why it's so important is because I think lip service has been paid to the women's game of cricket in the Caribbean for many, many years. We produce some very good players, but I think we produce those players despite the system. The system has not produced most of these players. Most of them have just been very good athletes who have excelled in different sports and, are able to do that. Now we're seeing that with those players going out of the game, we're now seeing how much we're suffering, both at the regional level and at territorial level. The standard at the moment certainly needs to improve. And I think if you get the basics right at the grassroots level, then it would feed up the chain. Quite often with women cricket, what you try to do is start halfway up the tree. It can't work. So we've got to give women's cricket exactly what we give to boys and men's cricket. Start at the grassroots level, teach them well, and give them the opportunity to grow.
Halfway up the tree, what do you mean by that?
When I say halfway up the tree is if someone, most of our girls probably would have started playing 15, 16 instead of playing at age 6 or 7. If you start playing at age 6 or 7 and, you're teaching the basics and let them have fun and enjoy it, by the time they're 15, there's a lot of information in them. But if you start at 15, because of the time factor, all you're going to do is try to teach those kids technique at 15. Some will get it, majority will not. Hence, from time to time, you'll get some good players, but you will not get a lot of good players. The basics have got to be taught from a very young age, and you'll end up with a base in time where you will have lots of good players instead of just 1 or 2 that we've got right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. The only thing I would say though is that while I agree that you want to start from there, I wouldn't turn away anyone at all. I would encourage even a 30 or 40-year-old who wanted to learn, not necessarily in this program, but I mean, I would still encourage that, and I'll tell you why. I remember you talked about the various jobs in cricket. You can be a number of different things, but cricket also needs stakeholders. And a lady, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, chances are may have children at some point in time, may have grandchildren at some point in time, may own a business at some point in time, may be a salesperson or someone who is influential in being able to get sponsorship from a business at some point in time. So you want people who not only are going to be decent players or good players, but you want people who love cricket, and you want females especially who love cricket. And that's why I would not turn away anyone. We have this thing in the Caribbean where we look at people's size. It's almost sickening to watch cricket and listen to the comments, as I said, in the various chats and so on. You heard the comments about a guy like Cornwall who's not good enough to even captain the Leeward side to win matches for them, and still people can't see past his size. What I'm saying is that to my mind, you taking everybody, and there's a role for everybody. Everybody's not going to be a star player, but everybody can play a role.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And we're working along that line. I mean, we're not expecting that a lot of the girls who come to the program may not want to be cricketers in the future. But if in the meantime they can play the sport, get some enjoyment out of it, and if in later life they want to continue watching the sport, and as you say, when they have their own families, etc., get them involved with the sport, then the job has been done. So, this is a long-term program, but 20, 30 years down the line, you really want the game to be very, very strong right across the region.
When I was around at the start of the whole exercise, I was aware that Haley Matthews was involved and did interact with the youngsters. Have you been able to get that sort of buy-in, not only from Haley, who we know tends to be away a lot, but other female players who have had the experience of playing maybe for Barbados, maybe for West Indies, who may inspire these young girls?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Haley Matthews is a very important figure for the Barbados Royals Girls Cricket Club. In actual fact, Haley is the global ambassador for the club, and she comes with a terrific reputation as being a top class player and a great ambassador for the sport. So, she's got a very important role to play. So basically, we are getting as many people involved with the sport as possible. I mean, Shakona Quinton is involved with this as well as an ex-player, obviously, who who has played at the highest level. We intend to get more of the other ladies involved. Pamela Levine, when she gets the opportunity, from work-wise, she'll be able to assist the girls. And we're looking for some more. Currently the two Knight sisters are retired, so it'd be nice to get them involved, for them to come and share their experiences of playing international cricket and Barbados cricket with these young girls. So more and more of the young ladies who have represented Barbados and West Indies, we will get involved and let them share their experiences.
What made the Royals choose Barbados?
Well, they made the Royals have a team here already. I mean, don't forget the Barbados Royals men and Barbados Royals team, women's team. Hayley Matthews is a captain of the CPL team, which is the Barbados Royals. So the Barbados Royals have been here for, a number of years. Why they've chosen our program is because our program fits perfect with what the Royals, want to spread, not just in Barbados, but around the world. So they have seen what we're doing. They've looked at our programs and our development programs, our strategic programs, and they've said, yes, listen, this is what we've been looking for. It fits perfectly with what the Royals is all about, and we will come on board.
So there are programs of this nature in other jurisdictions where the Royals have a presence?
Well, the Royals obviously overseas.
I don't mean the Caribbean. I'm talking about other.
Overseas, the Royals have got things going in the UK and other places like that. The idea really with the Barbados Royals Girls Cricket Club, since we started, I've had several calls from other areas within the Caribbean about expanding it around the region. Now we're working very closely with Fairbrick. Fairbrick Global is an organization that runs female international cricket tournaments around the world and have all the top players playing.
Right.
So we're actually signing an MOU with Fairbrick, where we will work particularly in the Caribbean to develop what we've got around the region. Fairbrick actually has a tournament in Antigua in July, which will be part of the program. So organizations like that, and Cheryl Rogers, who's the CEO of Fairbrick, she's also on our advisory board. We're all working very close to ensure that what we're doing here doesn't just only stay in Barbados, but it benefits other parts of the Caribbean. And that would be part of the collaboration with Fairbrick.
Okay. But Roland, the regional women's competition is on, and the first part already completed. The champions being Jamaica. I don't know if you've seen or how much of it you've seen, but any thoughts you want to express on that tournament?
Yes, I mean, obviously, I guess some of the top player in Hayley Matthews is obviously missing. And with her missing, you can see really the gap really between her and the other players. Obviously, Stefani Taylor is playing as well. But I think generally, if you're all very honest, we were pretty disappointed at this with the standard at this moment in time. It is something that can be improved. And I guess maybe it's as strong as it can be based on what has been happening in women's cricket for a number of years. Maybe we're expecting a little bit too much to have a higher standard. What I believe is that programs like what we're doing here, and when we roll them out in the other parts of the Caribbean, I think in 5 years' time, you're going to see a completely different regional tournament in terms of the ability of the players. I think in 5 years' time, it will be a lot better than it is right now.
Any coaches that we know of who are, that we know of or don't know of? Who are some of the coaches who are involved in this program?
Listen, we have 3 excellent coaches who are involved right now in the program. We've got Yvonne Arthur, who Yvonne is a level 2 coach in Barbados. Most people don't know that. She's an ECB level 2 coach. Excellent coach. She's also a trainer as well. So she's very, very much involved. We've also got Jeremy King, You know, Jeremy is again a level 2 coach. Excellent job, and we've got Leon Yard. And the important thing is that these people are school teachers as well, so they're teaching the sport on a daily basis at school.
All
They're
three
doing
are school teachers? That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
and
interesting.
they're doing an excellent job. The three of them, and you know, what we'll be hoping to do is obviously get more coaches involved. I think part of our agreement with the Sports Council is that they will provide some coaches as well. We probably don't at the moment. We're not really ready for them because I guess the coaches that they will have on their staff will be the more of the technical coaches. We're very much at the moment at the grassroots teaching stage, but they will play an important part. And the other good thing about the Sports Council is that they've also given us the outdoor nets at Blenheim, which is fantastic. They've got 3 or 4 grass nets, and there'll be a couple of artificial nets as well. So that will certainly assist the program as we go forward, as the players improve when we get into a net situation.
So you have
But
friendship. Yeah, you were saying
friendship is where we run the programs at the moment. Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. And we've also got access on Saturdays to Blenheim when we need it.
Okay, this is great. Yeah. Well, I've been living in Barbados for quite some time, and so too yourself. So I don't think you'll be surprised if someone says, but where they may not quite put it that way, but where are the brand name coaches? Where are the players who play at a high level and so on? You know how we think in this part of the world, Roland. How would you?
Well, that's not that is not what I'm looking for. You know, we are looking for persons who are going to teach the children well, make sure that they have fun, enjoy what they're doing, want to come back the next day, and fall in love with the sport. We're not interested in persons who are purely going to be coaching techniques. They have their role to play elsewhere, but that's not for the programs that we've got here. Our program is to take them to the point where we can pass them on to an organization like the BCA into their GEMS program. I'm in discussion with the BCA right now about us being, the feeder program to the GEMS program, and that's exactly what we should be. We should be teaching them well, giving them the basics, and then passing them on to the GEMS program for the more professional approach to moving them forward. So I'm in discussion with them right now, and that's really how this should play out, that we become an official feeder program for the BCA and the BCA GEMS program.
What's the GEMS program?
The GEMS program is the latest program that the BCA has started for females. Right, as you know, before the BCA would have the senior women's team, and they would also have the under-19 team. There was no development girls program anywhere. So the GEMS program, they call it Barbados GEMS, is an attempt to start the development of the girls of the younger age. But at the same time, most of those girls in the GEMS program are 15, 16, starting at that point. So they're really coaching them using the BCA coaches at a technical level. I still believe also that some of those girls at that age need to step back as well and get the basics right as well, because otherwise they'll fall into the same traps that the previous players are falling into by starting at a later age. But that's by
starting halfway up the tree.
Halfway up the tree. So that's what makes our program so important for the BCA, because we do all the hard work, we do the groundwork, and then we pass the girls on for upward movement along the pathway.
So just one more thing, basically, when it comes to the Royals program, you said Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. So can interested people who, let's say, are listening to or watching this program and they may want to get their children involved, or their children themselves may ask to be involved. Is that possible? Can they just turn up and show interest and register?
Just turn up. We're there Tuesdays 4 to 5:30, Fridays 4 to 5:30, Saturdays 9:30 to 11:30. Bring your daughters, bring your sisters. Just let them come. They'll be well received, well looked after. We've got a good bunch of girls at the moment who are there religiously. There's a core that just comes every day. And yeah, just bring your daughter along, bring your sister, bring your friends, and come and join and be part of the club.
But Roland, it would be normally a relevant question to ask what you've been doing recently. We all know that you were a West Indies male selector for about a year or so, I think it was. And well, that the termination of that kind of surprised, I suppose, the regional cricket community. And therefore, it would be a fair question to ask you what you've been doing since then. Were it not for this, because clearly you have been quite busy and still, playing a key role in West Indies cricket, even though in this specific instance it's with the women. But I do want, before you go though, just to touch on that a bit in terms of your own take on that whole experience of being a selector for a year, which culminated virtually with picking a very successful team. And I say that without reservation and without fear of contradiction, because I think if you're going to go to Australia and you're going to come away against the top side in the world and you're pretty near the bottom, you're going to come away with a draw. I think that's highly successful. So make sense of that for us who don't fully understand the politics of West Indies cricket.
Well, fella, I don't know if I'm going to make sense of it, but what I can tell you is that, the whole episode left a bitter taste in my mouth for sure, because the year of being a selector, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, working with Desmond Haynes was fantastic. We get on it very well together. We have a lot in common. Obviously, I played my first test when Desmond played in that test as well. Later on, we were teammates at Middlesex. And then, as I said, this last year, we worked together as selectors. We really did get on well. I think over the year, we cannot be faulted for what we did, along with the head coaches. Obviously, the white ball, Darren Sammy was part of the selection process, the two of us plus Darren. And then when it came to the red ball, obviously myself, Desmond, and Andre Cooley were the coaches, the selectors who actually select the teams. Yes, we did well over that year. I think in all, we probably won about 7 series, including 2 A-team series. I would say going in the right direction, so you can understand why it has left quite a bitter taste in my mouth particularly. But at the same time, I'm not someone who sits and worries about spoiled milk, Philip. Life is too short. I have plenty of other things to do, and I just get on and do them. This Barbados Royals Girls Cricket Club is a project that's very dear to my heart. It's a way of me also giving something back to Barbados, where I started to play the game as a kid myself and fell in love with it as a youngster in St. Philip all those years ago. So I will continue to do that. But, this club is really run by females. Sasha Sutherland, who you would know, Dr. Sasha Sutherland, she is the chair of the advisory board. The majority of the advisory board are females. There are a few males on there, like Stetson Red Plastic Bag is one of the males, and a few others, but mainly it is women, because I wanted it to be run by women, to show that women can actually run things, run them well, and don't necessarily need men to be there. So, very capable advisory board, good committees, in capable hands. So, I am assisting as much as I can. While I'm here, obviously in Barbados right now, I'm on the ground every day assisting. But start of April, I have to go to England to commentate for the BBC. Then I'll be back and forth. So, you asked what I have been doing and what I'm going to be doing. I'm certainly not sitting around. worrying about what happened after my time with West Indies as a selector. It certainly was a gratifying time for me, and I saw the success that the team, because the players had to go out there and do it. And I feel honored to have been part of that process of selecting players who then went onto the park and fulfill what we wanted them to do. So, yeah, very good year. Very surprised when my contract wasn't renewed. No reason given. No reason given. That was it, basically.
But Roland, nothing new really where that's concerned. I mean, we seem to be afraid to develop on success. And if you go back to Gus Logie and the Champions Trophy, at the end of that tournament, he parted ways, or there was a separation between Gus Logie and the board at that point in time. That negotiation may have started before the tournament, but I think if you're going to go and win a tournament, I don't know why you'd be so keen to release your coach. And then you can look at Otis Gibson, Darren Sammy, the captain, winning the 2 T20 World Cups, and we always find a reason to undo something when we're going in the right direction. And so therefore, you're just the latest of a long line of people who have made positive contributions and then have been asked to go elsewhere. The good thing in pretty much all of those cases is that these persons have been able to continue their contribution, whether it be to West Indies cricket or to cricket in some other jurisdiction. So there's a saying, you can't keep a good man down, and I think that is obviously relevant here too. So no need for you to be concerned as far as I look at it.
Well, I feel very happy to know that I went out on my last 3 series as a selector. We beat India, we beat England in the T20, we beat England in the 50 over. So to finish with those 3, I think I can be quite pleased with that.
But yeah, I guess Barbados is joining the party as well, because there's a guy, Shaquille Comerbach, who played in the last first class game in the first the first section of the tournament, and I noticed he didn't play in the recently concluded match against Guyana, and I didn't hear a report that he was injured, so I don't know if I missed something. So I suppose there's that culture in the Caribbean where we prefer not to build on things that are going well. When things seem to be going well, we take a step back just to make sure that we're not too successful. Hopefully, common sense and intellect will prevail over time, and we will stop shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah, Philip, listen, I mean, as I said, I hold no animosity against anyone. For me, it was a great year. I enjoyed it. We had a great rapport with the players. I think they respected the honesty that Desmond and myself went about to doing the job. There was no favoritism involved in anything that we did. We were very straight up with the players all the time. And I think, we can step away. I can step away from it, knowing that we did a very good job, and we left West Indies cricket in a much healthier state, certainly than when we took on the job. So, I hold no grudges or malice against anyone. I was just a little bit surprised the way things turned out.
Fair enough. Just another thing, you're going off to England in April. You'll be back in time for the World Cup?
Yes, I will be. I'm sure you'll want me to come and help you with the World Cup. But yes,
well, I would think so. And then, of course, there's that tour of England later on as well. You'll be back in England then?
Yes.
Okay, so you're our man in England. Okay, Roland, thanks again for taking the time out to join us on Anything Cricket Let's Talk. I really wish you and all the stakeholders the best with that women's program. It's just what is required as far as I'm concerned. So well done, and keep doing it.
Thank you, Philip, and always a pleasure to come on and have a chat with you.
Again, we invite you to subscribe to our channel and contact us if you require live streaming service. That's our show. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to Roland Butcher and Wayne Holder. Join us again soon for another episode of Anything Cricket Let's Talk.